Hi, and welcome. I'm Amanda, and you are at Battleground Games and Hobbies. We are a gaming store in the greater Boston area. The store I'm in right now is in Abington, which is just south of Boston. We have two other locations, one in Saugus, which is up north of Boston on Route 1, and one down south in Norton. And this one has the streaming rig, so here I am. I'm going to do some painting today. I've been working on something for a friend. I'm just going to get some music going. There is a 40K doubles tournament happening downstairs from this loft, and it's going to get a little loud once their lunch break ends, so I'm going to put some music on for myself. Unfortunately, I don't want to get this stream muted, so we can't really have anything playing right now. We also don't have a laptop to run the music off of because it's being used. So I'm going to get some music for myself going, and then we're going to get started painting. Let's see. What do I want to listen to today? I'll just try this. So we are working on the Highlander Board Game figures. Highlander Board Game. This is a game from Riverhorse, and I very much like this game. Why is this not playing? You should be playing music now. So Highlander is a board game by Riverhorse. Riverhorse also did the Labyrinth and Dark Crystal games, which are very similar games to each other. They both have a sort of Talisman Light-esque thing going on, if you have played or know of Talisman. The idea being you have a non-directional board. It's just empty spaces, and as you move your figure around it, you encounter cards from a deck. As you encounter cards from the deck in excuse me, both Labyrinth and Dark Crystal, you work your way through the deck so that you can hit a certain card in the deck that will allow you to start the end game. The issue with both of those is that there's a clock on the game. In Labyrinth, it is understandably 13 rounds for the 13 hours from the movie. Dark Crystal does address that being kind of an issue by giving you the option of making the timer, the clock, shorter or longer, to give you a little bit more chance to dig through that deck, because all you know about that card that you're trying to get to is that it is in the bottom third of the deck, or like the bottom quarter. That can take some time to get through, and working your way through the cards, it's a bit of a grind at times. So both of those games have a similar mechanic. The Labyrinth game is fairly simple. You're working together. It's a cooperative game. Everyone in the group is trying to meet up and team up because it's easier to battle things when you're a group. The power of friendship. Whereas Dark Crystal has an additional mechanic to it in that the Gelflings work together. So Kira and Jen work together. But the Skeksis both want to beat the Gelflings, but they also want to beat each other. For the Gelflings, if either one of them makes it to the end and wins, they both win, even if one of them has died in the process. For the Skeksis, if the Chamberlain wins, the Gartham Master loses, and the Gelflings lose. Only one Skeksy can win, but both Gelflings can win. So the idea is that you want to be the Emperor, if you're one of the Skeksis, when the end game finishes. If you're not the emperor, then you don't win, even if the Gelflings both die. So there's an additional sort of interesting unevenness. There's an attack deck that happens. It's interesting. It's still, you're going around a board trying to encounter things until you hit a card. So I was a little worried when Highlander was coming out. I was like, is this going to be like we're wandering around encountering like challengers until we hit the Gathering card? Is this going to be the same game just repackaged? And no, it's not, amazingly. It actually has a really neat battle mechanic. It has a really neat lifespan mechanic where every character in the game has a little identity card. So let's look at Connor MacLeod. Here's Connor. Connor has a special ability. He is vengeful. When you discard an ally card, if you gain 2 quickening tokens if you have no quickening tokens. So get a little extra for getting revenge for your ally. You can have 1 ally at a time. You can have 1 weapon at a time. You keep your quickening tokens. And then you have your stats. So the stats in this game are cunning, power, and influence. And you can see they each have a different number next to them. Different characters have different base values for their cunning and power and influence. These each figure into different rolls you're going to make. It's not that you have a 4. It's that you roll a d4 against whatever your opponent is rolling. Sometimes that's defined on a card, sometimes it's another player. The way you modify those, however, is by living lives. So this is a life of training. And when you draw it and choose it, you slide it under your board. And now you can't go lower than a d4, it doesn't make you flip coins. And you can't go above a d12. But now, Connor's cunning is still a 4. His influence goes down to a d6. So when he has to make influence rolls, he's only rolling a d6. But his power roll has improved twice, which is real good. So 6, 8, 10. So he's going to be rolling a d10 every time he has to roll for power. And power is what you use when you're fighting another immortal. You can have up to 2 of these cards at any given time under your character, and if you draw another one, you pick which one to swap out. It's a really neat mechanic. I quite like it. And then when you duel other immortals, there's a duel deck, and you get cards like whoever wins the fight gets to turn over the top card of the deck. And you'll get things like Spree, roll a d6 and discard that many cards from the top of the encounter deck. Gain a quickening token for each conflict card discarded. So you won, and therefore you're going to get that bonus. Collateral, choose an immortal in the arena. That's where you were fighting. That immortal loses an ally. Humiliate, you lose a quickening your opponent loses a quickening token. And then if you turn this over, it's Behead. The immortal or immortals that rolled lowest in the duel are beheaded. And that's how you knock people out of the game. When you start playing the game, you build the beheading deck, and then those cards go away. The deck gets smaller and smaller as you fight until basically Behead is the only card left in the deck, which happened when myself, my husband, and a friend of ours played. Came down to me and our friend John, and it was just who was going to win that last fight, and then he got rid of all modifiers. So it was like, oh, okay, it's just straight rolls, and he won. But it was a good game. It was really good. So yeah, you get events, allies, life, different cards for different things going on. And then there's encounters where you can gain weapons and quickening tokens, which is really cool. And yeah, it's a really fun game. It's really neat. All the abilities are really different. Very flavorful, which I enjoy. And I already painted my figures. So my figures are done. Here's my Connor. He's all done. I finished him 6 months ago, a while ago. No, more than 6 months ago, because I had these finished. I had painted these pre-PAX East last year. So yeah, these have been done for almost a year, maybe. So that's my Connor. This is my Ramirez. This is all first movie based. And my Kurgan. He's a jackass, but he sure looks good. So I'm a big Highlander fan. And I also bought a copy of the game for my friend Sarah, who is also a big Highlander fan. And she, hers don't come painted, so I said I would paint them for her. So I am painting hers. So Connor is mostly done. His cloak is done. I need to do detail work here on all like his leather armor bits. Detail work on his sleeve. His hair and face need some detail work. They're very plain and flat right now. Let's see. His feet are mostly done. His sword needs work. So, detail work on Connor today. I'm still working. You can see this is still maybe a little too shiny for peacock feathers. If you look at actual peacock, like the neck feathers of a peacock, which is what this cloak is actually made out of, they're not this uniformly shiny. They're a little darker. So that's the finished one. This is what I've been working on. That's the base tone for it. And I gotta do the sort of fine detail work on these ones. Connor's looking pretty amazing. Thank you, Andy. So yeah, this is my Ramirez. He's got all his details done. So you can see I'm working on getting, I have to get like the gold braiding and stuff done on those. I gotta get the handle of his katana done. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how he's coming. So, and Kurgan. I haven't started Kurgan yet. I'm gonna do detail work on these two, and then I'm gonna start working on this one today. We'll see if we get past him. The other figures that come with the game, with the base game, one of them is already done. One of Sarah's is already done. So this is Iman Facile. He's the guy who loses his head in the parking garage at the very beginning of the movie. He's pretty much done. He is super boring, and so he doesn't need a whole lot of fancy work. He's done. The other characters that come with the game are Castigear. So this is Castigear. His coat was the biggest pain in my butt. Hands down. It's a woven fabric that is like equal parts orange and purple, which if you start to mix orange and purple together, it gets very muddy very fast. It just turns into a muddy brown, which is really frustrating. So you have to be careful with it, but my version of him looks a little too purple, but when I tried to add more orange to brighten it up, it just looked brown. So I'm gonna see if I can figure out a better way to do that. So I haven't even started on Sarah's yet. He may be the last one I do. And then we have two original characters that were made for the game. I actually really like both of these characters. They're really interesting. The game actually gives all of the characters that it comes with backstory in the instruction booklet, which is neat. So this is Nobunaga Minamoto. This is my copy of her. I went looking for a good kimono to base it off of. I'm pretty pleased with how she came out. Not looking forward to redoing all these flower details, but we'll deal with it. And then this is Talia. Talia is Mesoamerican originally. By the time we meet her modern day, she is a gun runner. She had a rough start in life. She was meant to be a sacrifice to protect her people. She volunteered for it. She didn't stay dead, which wasn't really what her folks wanted. It sort of says the gods have rejected you. So she and her father had to take off, and she's tried her best, but things are rough. And so she's pretty vicious. I like her. Camo is always fun to paint for me. I really enjoy painting camo on this scale. She is wielding a MacLeod, which is a traditional Mesoamerican weapon. It is basically a hunk of wood with obsidian chips wedged into the edges. It's like a chainsaw blade, but without the chain. It's just sharp and heavy. The actual name of the card that goes with her weapon, because all the swords have their own cards, because you can get swords that give you bonuses, is Brutal MacLeod. But honestly, there's no other kind. They're all brutal. It's like a cricket bat, like razor blades embedded in it. So she's interesting. I liked her. She's fun to paint. She's got this necklace on that I painted gold and turquoise. So those are pretty traditional. What I really like about that, this is the expansion for the game. The expansion is the Princes of the Universe expansion. And it doesn't introduce new characters. What it does is takes the characters that we already have and either gives them to you from their earlier lives or their modern day lives, depending on what we already have. So for Connor MacLeod, we get Russell Nash. So the expansion is Russell, and we have Connor in the base game. So for Talia, you get her in her early life. She's been chopping off conquistadors' heads. Good for her. I got to do some blood spatter on her. She was really fun to do. But what I love is she's got that same necklace on, but it's more ornate. So you can see it's the same basic idea, but it's missing a whole bunch of pieces. So what I decided was that she's had this necklace the whole time, and she's been snapping off pieces of it as she's needed money, and she sells the gold. It was my little decision for how to interpret that. I like that there's a little visual storytelling there. The other characters in the expansion are Ikimusek. This is the younger version of Ramirez, because apparently Ramirez is Egyptian. Sure, of course he is. Castigear. Forget what his name is in his earlier version. I had to look up what type of coat this was and figure out what color scheme I wanted. I'm really happy with the forest green. I wanted it to be real deep. That was fun to paint. We have modern day Kurgan. His leather jacket. He was difficult because he's wearing all black. And that's always hard to get some depth into. So I ended up using some purple to highlight sort of the plumes and feathers that are hanging off of his vest and his belt. Gave him some silver chain details and studs. Got the tattoo on his head. Which is actually meant to be a skull with a plume off the end of it that is supposed to mimic his helmet from his earlier life. I had to find so many pictures from the movie. This is Iman Facile, back from his days in like in the Middle Ages. What's interesting is he deserts his post and decides to take the name of a Muslim man that he met, who basically showed him that maybe the things that he was told when he was a younger man were not all true. I still think he's kind of a jerk, but whatever. And then this is Amy Gray, who is the modern day version of Nobunaga Minamoto. She is known as the Gray Ghost. She and her teacher, when she was younger, traveled the land righting wrongs. She has the unfortunate situation of her high heels being molded into the figure. These figures are molded incredibly well for the most part. Her feet, unfortunately, have some issues. So, it's like she was drawn by Rob Liefeld. It's very sad. Not nearly enough pouches, though. So, but getting her jacket, I wanted her to have a white leather jacket. I felt like that was very 90s. So, yeah, the medieval Iman Facile is the figure is amazing. The figure is really good. I guess it makes up for his like modern day figure being the most boring. So those are the figures. I'm working on the base game for Sarah right now. I'm done with Iman Facile. It just occurred to me that I swapped boxes by accident. This box belongs. Oh no, I did. I swapped figures. That's what I did. Oops. Because mine's all open. Sarah's is not. So Sarah's is the sealed one. I'm not feeling this music. Try something different. All right. Let's see what we can do with these gentlemen and not so gentle men. I do have another thing that I'm going to be working on sometime in the near future. This project is going a lot faster than the original painting. Where it went, because the original painting I had to do a ton of reference research. It was like, I want to know what sorts of detailing are actually done on these types of coats and stuff. Whereas I can use the figures I've already painted as reference right now. So let's do some base coating on the Kurgan, and then we'll go let him dry and do some detail work on Connor and Ramirez. So Kurgan is again mostly in like gray and black, but he also has this bronze armor, which I really like. Adds a little pop. So let's get some grays out. And then we're gonna do a brown underneath his bronzy armor. He's also got some brown leather, so I want to do a nice dark brown on that. There we go. And then he's got some more gray. He takes good care of his sword, that's one thing. The other thing I noticed when I started really looking up information about him is that his armor, if you look at like his actual armor from the movie, he's got like one finger covered and the other finger's in. That's canon. That's legitimately what it looks like. Weird. Alright. Let's do... He's also very pale. He's a very pale man. Almost sickly pale. He's definitely gotten noisier downstairs, so I'm glad I have headphones. I actually forgot my headphones today. Felt real foolish. I left them at home. I had brought them inside so I could listen to something in the house, and I forgot to put them back in my bag before coming here today. So that wasn't good. Let's see. Here, I think there's like a game for Sunday, and that could be it. So, then the next month, we may not be here, but we're going to play the next season. You're probably going to play what do you want? We don't think I want to walk. Really not walk. I haven't been soccer. I haven't been we should love live. We have no, I don't play. So, Come on, Kurgan. Work with me. He won't. He's too ornery. Excuse me. Hey, Pi. Oh, goodness. Bits. Sorry, I was focused on, I don't have the chat up there. It's on my computer screen, and it's not quite as noticeable. I was so focused on his leather armor. How's it going, friend? And yes, I did just get my hair done. It was shaggy. I was a week overdue. She had to reschedule me. So I was a week past what I normally would do. Finish your latest knitting fiasco. That's exciting. So not everything that I'm painting right now is going to be leather, but I also wanted a warm tone under the antique gold that I'm going to end up using for his armor. I actually want to check something because I bought myself a new metallic. A throw blanket, that sounds lovely. I have discovered the unfortunate, I've realized the unfortunate truth about our cat, which is that because she needs everything, and she does use a little bit of claw when she needs, I can never have anything knitted or woven or anything ever again, because she will most definitely destroy it. It's fleece only from now on, I think, or things I don't care about. So I'm largely doing this to differentiate it from the non-gold and bronze parts. I actually want to look up that sounds awesome, Pie. Ooh, awesome, thank you. So Pi in chat just mentioned Extra Life, and I'll take this opportunity to also mention Extra Life. Extra Life is a fantastic charity that works with kids who are sick and need games and fun. They do a lot of donations to kids in hospitals, to children's hospitals. They work with the Children's Miracle Network, and the Boston network specifically works with Boston Children's. So that's where we focus our Extra Life stuff. We are indeed doing a Extra Life 25 hours of gaming again this year. That is the plan. We will have prizes, we will have giveaways, we will be doing games, we will be streaming as much of it as we can possibly manage to. That's coming up early November, I believe. And Pi is bringing us prizes, which is super. Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you, Pi. And thank you, Pi's friend. So what I want to do is check the color of the Kurgan's armor, like the metal bits, the like bronzy bits, to see if it's actually bronze or if it's gold, because I don't remember if it's more bronzy or goldish. Because if it's more bronze, I just bought myself a bronze paint. let him dry. Hey! Thunder speaks, hello. Yeah, working on Kurgan, though ancient Kurgan, not modern. So, not scaring any nuns yet. How's it going? It's detail time. Connor needs some detail work all up in here. I finished his tartan last week. I finished the back of his cloak last week. I'm really happy with how that came out. That came out very similar to the previous one I had done. I'm pretty pleased. Still waiting for Hell Month to end. I mean, if Hell Month is September, then you're in trouble, because it's a ways off. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with his cloak, and I'm really happy with his tartan. Tartan is a giant pain. So now it's time for detail work in here, detail work on his face and hair, detail work on his arm, and his sword. Hell Month as in time spent in hell? I see. I'm sorry. Just a month's worth of hell. A series of unfortunate events. I am sorry to hear that, man. Oh, I was going to fired and rehired on the same day, huh? I mean, at least there was the rehired part. It's very much, it is very bronzy. The question is, do I have that paint with me? Was I smart enough to leave it in my bag? If I was smart. That's it. That's the stuff. Because it really isn't a very warm color. It's a very yellowy sort of color. So yeah, we'll use that for him. Oh, that makes me happy that I figured that out. Oh, dude. So another person with your name left the company. HR sent the system as soon as you are employee. That's super. That sounds like... Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds like a lot of fun to deal with and not. Ugh, that sounds like a mess. That sounds like a whole lot to deal with, man. I'm sorry it has been such a mess of a month or a period of time. Figure while I've got the steel out. It's a lot of things, man. Novocaine. Hey, friend. So many friends today. It's exciting. So I actually have something. I'm going to pause doing this because I have something I want to show off for the people who paint. I'm painting Highlander figures, Novocaine. So, Black 3.0. I want to show it off a little bit. So earlier today, I grabbed a bit out of the bit box. You have some. Awesome. So what I found is that it goes on better over primer than without. It doesn't really work well as like a prime, like it works well as a base coat. But you can also brush it off easily with other paints, so you have to be very careful, but it works fantastic with, do you have it like just regular in a bottle, the paint, or did you get like a powdered version or something? Because I'm using it just straight out of the bottle. I have found I do need to be careful. It gets very, very, very thick. My goodness. Game Bits TV. Thank you for subscribing. That's awesome. So, earlier today, I took some and just painted it straight onto a bit from the bit box. We have a box of spare bits. So I figured I would show it off a little bit. So this is Black 3.0. Black 3.0 is a paint made by a guy named Stuart Semple. Stuart Semple is famously in an ongoing art feud with another artist, Anish Kapoor. Anish Kapoor bought exclusive artistic rights to Vanta Black, which is a very delicate, actually, super light absorbent black coating that was developed for scientific applications, like coating the inside of telescopes and stuff. It's amazing. This art feud has like consumed me. Yeah, it's the blackest black, and Anish Kapoor bought exclusive artistic rights to it, so no one else gets to use it for art. Stuart Semple thought that was pretty uncool of the dude, and he had been working on a number of super pigmented paints and paint powders for a long time. This art feud sort of gave him enough notoriety that he was able to get more funding for them, and he has them available on his site, which is Culture Hustle. And he kickstarted. He's made a couple of very matte blacks, very light absorbent blacks in the past. This is the most recent version of it, is Black 3.0. Andy and I kickstarted it when he ran a Kickstarter for it. I really want to play with them. I want to get the gold, because that gold looks fantastic. I also want to get the color shifting, the one that looks like an oil slick, the liquid that you have to keep in the fridge. That's what I want to get. So, random bit. It's not primed, it's not washed or anything, so this isn't going to be the best application. To give you an idea, I did a little bit of painting with it earlier. Yeah, no. So I painted a little bit with it earlier today onto, this should have a skull on it. Oh yeah, this is way too thick for an airbrush. I would never put this in an airbrush. So you can see this has sort of a pitted background. So I'm going to show you what I found I can do with it, which I really love. So I found that if I dab it on, as opposed to trying to do brush strokes with it, I get a lot better application. I'm almost stippling with it. Because it's just so thick. And I don't know if thinning it would really work, if you know what I mean. Did you, oh, Vader's cloak with it? It's not so much that I don't think I can thin it, it's that I don't know what it will do to the effect of the paint if I thin it, because of the way it's done. Yeah, it already behaves weird, so I don't know. I'll have to experiment with it. I'm going to mess around with it. I have a big bottle of it, obviously, so. Now, obviously, this is still wet, so it's still kind of shiny. So you are getting some reflection off of it. What I really need is something good to mix this with. But, like to stir it. I don't have anything up here. Let's daub some down. See if it gets any easier to work with. It's a little better. I'm gonna let that sit for a second. Let it dry. Yeah, it dries like charcoal. It's got a very smoky feel to it. It's almost like flocking. Yeah, we've got like a handful of people, and we got a new sub, Jules. It was pretty awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna let that sit for a sec and let that dry, and then I'm going to dry brush some stuff over it. So this is what I did. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end up using it for. I don't think I'm gonna end up using it as much on its own. What I want to use it for is like shadowing, to make something look deeper and darker and more sinister. Because what I found was that then dry brushing like a metallic over it looks fantastic. Yeah, for like terrain. What I was thinking is like exhaust ports on ships and stuff. You could really make them look dirty. Thanatos, yeah, that's Andy. Thanatos is my good husband. Back to Connor. Yeah, sort of like my extra legs, which is the most inside of jokes. All right, gonna ask this to the chat now that Toshi's not around. I mean, he's around, he's just not in chat. I'm talking to him elsewhere. If I say the cat is going to sit on my lower legs, where do you think I'm talking about? Like, what do you think I refer to by my lower legs? This is a very important question. Okay. Shins, knees down to ankles. That's what I meant. And he responded to that with, as opposed to your other legs. In his mind, lower legs meant that I had like two pairs of legs, an upper pair and a lower pair. So basically I'm an insectoid now. Yeah, right? Like, I can understand it, but it was as we were going to bed the other night, and it made me laugh so hard because I was so tired. I think we were both tired, so. Did I finish not Ramirez? So Ramirez is mid. This is the finished one from my set. This is the one I'm working on for my friend Sarah. So he needs detail work. I'm sort of using my figures as a guide. I'm not going to look exactly the same. That's okay. Totally not that guy. Yeah, I mean, what with not being able to get the rights to Sean Connery's face and all. I'm actually pretty happy with how that's looking. That was more of that than I wanted. So if you actually look, theoretically Connor has like auburn hair. I'll let him dry. So, here's how this is looking. Remember how that had, you know, texture to it? Like the whole thing had texture. There's not much noticeable texture left. You really can't see it that much. Only really a couple of pits. There's a bit right here, a bit right here. This is a slightly bare patch, but mostly you can really only see it where it's wet. We're gonna keep letting that dry. Lumpy, not so much, because definitely if you thin it, which I just did, so that did work. I don't think it's too lumpy. Grainy, maybe, but that's why I'm not thinking I'm going to use it as like a top coat on anything. I'm more thinking it works really well for smoke or exhaust or anything that should have a grainy, charcoaly, smoky, matte feel to it, because it gets that feel perfectly. Yeah, corrosion, anything that's supposed to look like a void would be really good. Yeah, what GW calls a technical paint. Yeah, that's basically what it is, I feel like, because it's got more of a texture inherent to it than your typical acrylic paint. So yeah, I want to play with it a lot more. I am really excited about it. I think it's really neat looking. It's fun to play with. We're gonna do some really fine detail work on the res here. Like, it's not a black I would ever use for fine work, but that's not what it's for. Like, that's not, you're not gonna get the, you're not gonna get the effect you're looking for out of it. Oh no, I do need the smaller brush. Yeah. Better.
No, it's very easy because your deck doesn't have any mechanics in it, so you just get to play the game. It's not that you get to just play the game, it's that you don't really have a choice. You only get to play the game. This has the same thing with the live.
Oh, that's cool. You have paints that actually oxidize? That's fun. I know about that stuff. I saw that on a show at one point. It was like some home improvement show where they were redecorating. They're like, we're gonna have this wall look like it's oxidized. It's like, okay, it's a neat effect if that's what you want with it.
Except you're trying to one terraform landscape.
I would think that it does have a shelf life, yeah. If you're going to have anything that oxidizes that's like meant to react like that, then it's not going to have any protections against it. So, yeah, eventually it's going to do it whether you want it to or not. I have headphones on, so I can't hear what's going on downstairs, but it is entirely possible that someone downstairs has a vuvuzela. They are having a doubles tournament right now downstairs. It's a 40K doubles tournament, and there's also a group playing Weiss, and I think there's a Commander game going on, or there was. It's very busy downstairs. There was at one point there was an app that had like a klaxon that went off, and you could just activate it for funsies. And there was a guy in here who was setting it off during FNM one night, like, I don't know, between every 5 and 15 minutes at like random intervals. And it was horrible. It was panic attack inducing, and he was asked to stop, and his reaction was, why? And when he was told it's bothering people, he was like, who is it bothering? I want to talk to them, which isn't intimidating at all. So here we are. That has texture. You sure can't see it. So since I have it, and I'm going to need this plate, oh, this is perfect for Kurgan's armor. I'm so excited. Yeah, it reflects 0 light. That's its whole point, is that it does that. So. Yeah. Isn't it fantastic with a metallic over it? I love it. It gives the metallic this like gritty, greeny feel to it. It makes it look sinister. And I love it. It's such a good base for a metallic. It works just as well for like a silver. Let me see if I still have any in there. No, it's not. Yeah, let's do that on the other side. I got 2 new metallics a couple of weeks ago, and I'm very pleased with them. So yeah. And keep in mind, this is just on no primer. This was on an unprimed base. I would assume that on something primed it might work even better, but yeah. So that is Black 3.0. Yeah. I just wanted to show that off. I'm glad that Thunder Speaks and Novocaine for the Souls was that you were both in chat, because you were the 2 people I wanted to show that off to the most. So the one problem with using a really bitty brush is that sometimes you don't want to put too much paint. Like, the point of using a bitty brush is that you don't want to put too much paint on something, but then you're using so little paint that it dries between the palette and the model. See, I know I couldn't handle doing commissions. I've taken precisely one commission. Oh, there's one. Right in front of me. I'm just going to throw my Nuln Oil around. That's good for washes, right? Throwing them on the floor. I would imagine that airbrushing a vehicle is just, for convenience sake, is such a big difference. Like, I don't do large scale painting that much, or at all really. So I haven't really had an issue with scale. I would imagine if you're doing vehicles, anything big, having an airbrush would make such a huge difference. God, the difference this color makes me so happy. Allie is actually downstairs right now, running the doubles tournament. She was painting some terrain. That looks a lot closer to what I had on mine. I am probably going to finish up in maybe like 15 minutes. Because I'm reaching a point where my eyes are starting to cross. I'm pretty happy with how Connor is looking. We'll try and finish him up today, I think. The Kurgan's looking good. To compare, this is my Kurgan, who's finished. And this is Sarah's Kurgan that I'm still working on. I really like the bronze paint. I think it looks really good. Yeah, I need better lighting. Part of the other problem is if I'm streaming, lighting can be an issue for the camera. So any light that we put in, we then have to account for with camera settings. So it does make for slightly more complex streaming stuff, but I think it's worth it. So the MacLeod sword here, the Claymore, actually does have a bronze sort of panel where MacLeod is engraved on it. God, because the MacLeods are nothing if not super obvious. Yeah, our camera just is not awesome. It's part of the problem. The light would be great, I'm sure. The camera is another issue that adds all sorts of fun complications to us. Make Derek pay? He's not watching. Just so that you guys can see what this looks like dry. Take a look at that. It just looks so good. Yeah. It sets off the metallics so nicely. Yeah, I mean, having good painting lights just seems like a good idea anyway. Thank you. I can't take much credit. The paint is really impressive. Connor, I feel like Connor's looking really good. I'm pretty pleased with how he's come out. I had to deal with his face. But otherwise, I think he's in good shape. A little more texture on his hair and his face. Yeah. Yeah, the MacLeod tartan, totally traditional and exactly what they were wearing in that time period. Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh yeah, it's definitely the MacLeod tartan, and it's what's used in the movie. It's just that it's anachronistic, Andy, in that it doesn't actually fit the time period. There's sort of an assumption on the part of people who are not Scottish that tartans have been around, for eons and eons and are super traditional. They're not as old as most people assume they are. Yeah. Yeah, there's a big difference between something that was enthusiastically adopted and something that's been around. Yes, Pi, I did see that. I think that actually happened a couple of years ago, and it's been making the rounds again, and it makes me very happy. Yeah, tartans have a lot of various meanings, but a clan tartan is not quite a thing. It's not a thing in the way most people assume it's a thing. But dang if they weren't going to use it for Highlander, because you got to lean into it if you want to create a certain image. I like it that you're excited about it without being either Muslim or Scottish, being excited about there being a Muslim tartan invented. Because if you're excited about it without being one of those groups, that's really cool. I have to play with that a little bit. Okay. That's what I want. Yeah, it looks really nice too. It's a very pretty tartan. Stay open. What's the whole point of these bottles? So after I finish the Highlander figures, I have lots of Doctor Who figures to work on. Yeah, I don't need to own it. I'm just glad it exists. All right, I think aside from like his eyes, Connor is pretty much done. I need to sort of scribble in a MacLeod, but not until that bronze paint dries. Yours is looking pretty good. So next comes detail work on his cloak to make the feathers look a little better. Peacock feathers actually have a lot of colors going on, and distinct colors. They have a bright blue, they have a black, they have a brown, which a lot of people I think don't realize, but it offsets the other colors, which is really neat. But you can sort of see it, I did it in these ones, that there's like a blue in the center surrounded by black, and then there's brown and green. They're very neat feathers, so I have to do the detail work on this one to match that one. And then highlight back up after having brought this down a bit. Then I have to work on his face. I have to do the handle of his katana. That I can do right now. I'm probably going to finish up in the next 10 minutes-ish. I should probably text Andy and tell him that, so he knows to come and turn this off. Cool. Okay. Let's do this katana. We're going to start with an off-white and then go up to a bright white because it's ivory, so it's white if it's taken care of. Hey. I had said 10 minutes, but that's okay.
Okay.
I said in my text. I thought I said 10 minutes. Maybe I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, let me quickly do the handle on his katana because I said I would, and then I'll pack it up. Because Andy's up here now, and that means that he has to get back downstairs pretty quickly. So let's do the handle on his katana, and then we'll send Andy back downstairs. So Andy, check out this little bit that I did with the black.
So cool. That black is so black. So black.
That is the point. All right. I think we're going to call that a day. We got a lot of work done. We did a ton of work on the Kurgan here. We got a lot of detail work done on Connor. Connor's almost done. Ramirez is mostly done. It's only a few little details. And then once we're done with Connor and Ramirez, we will start work on probably Nobunaga Minamoto here and Talia. Because I am saving the pain that is Castigear's coat for last. I got to figure out how to do the plaid. I got to figure out how to make it look better. So, thank you for joining me. We had an awesome full chat today. It made me really happy. Thank you for hanging out, chatting with me, talking about painting with each other. That was really cool. And we had one new sub. Thank you so much. It's awesome. And we will see you definitely this coming Friday evening at 7:30 Eastern time for a board game which we don't know what we're playing yet, so yet to be determined. But we will be here at 7:30 Eastern this coming Friday, and I will probably actually be here Friday during the day for painting. So yeah, that's the plan. Thank you.